What would you do if you discovered that 31 complete strangers, people who had never met, never spoken, never shared a single social connection, all described the exact same room in their dreams? Not similar rooms. The same room. Down to the number of walls, the color of the light, the texture of the floor, and a single door that every one of them insisted should never, under any circumstances, be opened. This is not a creepypasta. This is not an internet legend. This began as a graduate thesis at a mid-tier American university in 2019, and by the time anyone realized what the data actually showed, the paper had been buried, the committee had dissolved, and the student who conducted the research had vanished from academic life entirely. No forwarding address. No LinkedIn. No published corrections. Just silence. And the deeper I looked into this, the less comfortable I became with what I found. Let me take you back to the beginning. In the fall of 2018, a psychology graduate student, I'm going to call her Elise, because her real name has been scrubbed from nearly every public-facing university database, began designing her master's thesis. Her area of focus was dream recurrence, the phenomenon of having the same dream, or variations of the same dream, repeatedly over months or even years. It's a well-documented psychological occurrence. Roughly 60 to 75% of adults report having experienced at least one recurring dream in their lifetime. Most of them involve falling, being chased, teeth crumbling, showing up somewhere unprepared. Standard anxiety processing. The subconscious working through unresolved tension. Elisa's thesis wasn't trying to break new ground in the field. By all accounts, it was a modest study. She recruited 200 participants through a university subject pool and several online forums. The demographics were broad, ages ranging from 19 to 63, spread across multiple states, different ethnic backgrounds, different socioeconomic brackets. There was no unifying thread between these people. No shared trauma, no overlapping geography, no membership in common groups. They were, for all intents and purposes, 200 strangers. The study protocol was straightforward. Each participant completed an intake questionnaire about their sleep habits and mental health history, then provided a written description of their most persistent recurring dream. They were asked to include as much sensory detail as possible: what they saw, what they heard, what they felt, any spatial awareness, any emotions. Standard qualitative methodology. Elise expected to find clusters. That's normal. You'd expect a handful of people to describe chase scenarios. A few would mention water. Some would describe paralysis or the inability to scream. Pattern formation is the entire point of qualitative coding. What she did not expect was what actually emerged from the data. 31 participants, 15.5% of her total sample, described a room. Not a type of room. Not a vague sense of enclosure. A specific room, detailed with a level of consistency that, according to one faculty member who reportedly reviewed the early data, was, quote, statistically unreasonable. Here are the 5 details that appeared across all 31 accounts with near-identical phrasing. 1. The room is rectangular but feels wrong. Multiple participants used the word wrong without prompting. Several said the proportions didn't make sense, that the room felt longer than it looked, or that the walls seemed to shift when not directly observed. 2. The light has no source. Every single account mentioned a dim, amber or yellowish light that filled the room evenly. No windows. No fixtures. No shadows. The light simply existed, as though the air itself was faintly glowing. 3. The floor is damp. Not wet. Damp. Participants described a tactile sensation of moisture underfoot, and several mentioned a cold, mineral smell, like wet stone or the inside of a cave. 4. There is a hum. Low, constant, almost below the threshold of hearing. Multiple participants said they weren't sure if they were hearing it or feeling it in their chest. One described it as the sound a building makes when it's trying to breathe. 5. There is a door on the far wall. And every single one of the 31 participants expressed, in various language but with unanimous conviction, that the door should not be opened. Not that it was locked. Not that they were afraid of what was behind it. They simply knew, with a certainty that several described as the most real thing they'd ever felt, that opening that door would be a profound and irreversible mistake. Now, let me be very clear about something. These 31 people did not know each other. Elisa's methodology included safeguards against cross-contamination. The descriptions were collected independently, most of them via isolated online submissions with no comment sections, no shared forums, no way for participants to see each other's responses. Several participants completed the study weeks apart. And yet, when Elise began coding the data and realized what she was looking at, she did something unusual for a graduate student. She went back and re-interviewed 11 of the 31. Individually. By phone. What those interviews revealed is where this story takes its first truly unsettling turn. 3 of the 11 reported that the dream had started at roughly the same time, the winter of 2016. They lived in different states. 2 more said the dream began after a period of insomnia, though they couldn't identify what triggered the insomnia. And 4 of the 11, without being asked about it, brought up the same additional detail that had not appeared in their original written responses. They said that recently, in the most recent iterations of the dream, the door was slightly open. Not fully. Just barely. A crack. And from that crack came a sound that was different from the hum. They struggled to describe it. One said it sounded like someone trying to say a word they'd forgotten. Another said it was almost like breathing, but backwards. A third went silent on the phone for nearly 15 seconds before saying, "I don't think I should talk about this anymore." Elise compiled her findings and submitted the initial draft of her thesis to her committee in early 2019. And this is where the story fractures. According to 2 former students in the same program, who spoke to an independent researcher years later under condition of anonymity, the committee's response was not what anyone expected. There was no defense date scheduled. There was no feedback. Instead, Elise was called into a meeting with her advisor and 2 members of the university's institutional review board. She was told that her methodology contained critical flaws, that her qualitative coding was inconsistent, and that the study could not be approved for completion. But here's what doesn't add up. Her methodology was pre-approved. The IRB had signed off on her study design months before data collection began. The coding framework she used was a well-established model in qualitative psychology research. Nothing about her methods had changed between approval and submission. What changed was the results. One of the anonymous former students said something that has stayed with me since I first read it. They said, it wasn't that the university thought her research was bad. It was that someone on that committee was scared of what it implied. Think about that for a moment. 31 unconnected people sharing the same dream, down to physical sensory details. That doesn't fit within any existing psychological framework. Shared dream content at that level of specificity, among strangers, with no identifiable vector of transmission, isn't supposed to happen. It violates every model we have for how dreams are generated. Dreams are personal. They're built from individual memory, individual experience, individual neurochemistry. They are not supposed to be shared environments. And yet, within 6 months of her thesis being rejected, Elisa's university email was deactivated. Her student profile was removed from the department website. Her name no longer appears in the university's thesis archive. I searched for her across every academic database I have access to: ProQuest, Google Scholar, ResearchGate, JSTOR, academia.edu. Nothing. No publications. No conference presentations. No forwarding trail. For a graduate student who reportedly had a strong academic record and multiple undergraduate publications, this kind of total disappearance from the academic landscape is extraordinarily unusual. I want to be careful here. I'm not suggesting anything conspiratorial about her physical safety. People leave academia. It happens all the time, for countless personal and professional reasons. But the combination of factors, the anomalous data, the abrupt institutional response, the total erasure of her academic footprint, creates a pattern that is, at minimum, deeply uncomfortable. And then there's the part of this story that I almost didn't include, because I cannot verify it, and because it crosses a line from unsettling into something I don't have a framework for. In 2021, a post appeared on a small psychology forum, not Reddit, a smaller, more academic-leaning community, from a user who claimed to have been one of the original 31 participants. The post was brief. It said that the dream had changed again. The door was now fully open. The room beyond it was dark, but not empty. And for the first time, the dreamer said, something in that room had acknowledged them. Not spoken. Not moved. Simply became aware that it was being observed. The post ended with a single line, "I don't think it's a dream anymore." The account was deleted within 48 hours. I have spent weeks trying to determine what Elise found, why the university responded the way it did, and whether the 31 accounts can be explained by any known psychological phenomenon. Folie à plusieurs, shared psychosis, doesn't apply here, that requires close personal contact and emotional enmeshment. Cryptomnesia, or hidden memory, might explain one or two overlapping details, but not 31 accounts with 5-point convergence across sensory modalities. Cultural contamination through media is possible in theory, but no one has ever identified a film, book, show, or online post that describes this specific room with these specific details prior to 2018. The simplest explanation is that this is an elaborate fabrication. That Elise manipulated her data, or that this entire story is a constructed narrative that grew legs online. And honestly, I would find that explanation comforting. Because the alternative, that 31 human minds, independently and without connection, were visiting the same place in their sleep, isn't something our current understanding of consciousness can accommodate. And that door. The one that shouldn't be opened. The one that, according to the last known testimony, is now open. I keep coming back to a question that I can't quite articulate properly, a question that sits just below language, the way the hum sits just below hearing. If 31 people found the same room, how many others have found it and simply never reported it? How many people listening to this right now have seen that amber light, felt that damp stone beneath their feet, and stood before a door that every instinct told them to leave closed? And if you have, has it opened yet? What do you think really happened here? Is this an artifact of flawed research, an internet myth that gained false credibility, or is there something in Elise's data that someone decided the rest of us shouldn't see? Leave your theory below.